Another series win for Southern Miss. And, Coach, let's start there. The second weekend in a row, you lose game one, but yet your team wins the series. What does that say about the mental makeup of your baseball team?
Well, I hope it states that they got some resiliency, some toughness, and no panic in them. And it's kind of what we've seen. It hasn't been easy. It's been some hard-earned fights and wins and stuff, but really proud of seeing the guys, bounce back after, back-to-back Friday night losses. Very good trait, and hopefully that'll continue.
Coach, we got this text a few minutes ago on our text line that says non-ball knowers don't know how good UNC Wilmington is. They have some elite arms and even beat Georgia in a game this season. So tell us about the opponent that you just beat. How good were they?
Well, I knew how good they would be. That's a really good program, a very strong mid-major program, regional caliber team these last few years. And I knew it was going to be a great opponent. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect to see that caliber of arms. I mean, once we started diving into it, we knew we had our hands full. But, very good, man. They're starters. They had three starters that I'd take any day of the week, and a lot of places would. Some really good relievers and just very fundamental baseball. Just a lot of respect for, Coach Hood and that program. They're going to be fun to see what they do in their league and once postseason gets here.
Coach, I promise I'm not trying to get your blood pressure up, but 2 losses last week, and you had 6 errors in those games. The Mississippi State game, your team just did not look right defensively from what I was watching. Just something that you just felt was a little lull last week, or is that something that you're going to have to continue to work on throughout the season?
Absolutely. You address it. You don't play good baseball, you're going to get your tail beat, and we did that night. We got embarrassed, and, they got momentum going, swinging the sticks. They couldn't wait to get to the plate, and we couldn't stop them, and not making plays defensively in the field. That's going to add to it. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And but anytime you don't go play a good game of baseball, you got the chance of getting beaten. When you don't play a good game of baseball against a really good opponent, you're going to get really beat. So, and that's kind of what we saw.
But as Michael said, you're able to bounce back and get this series. A game as a pitching coach you had to enjoy on Saturday, a 2-1 win. Your team only with 4 hits, but the hits were certainly timely for the Golden Eagles. As a pitching coach, do you just enjoy watching those old school low scoring games? Because goodness, these days it feels like the runs are coming back. Maybe I'm watching Tennessee too much. I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, it was. I knew real quick that we better do a good job of holding them down because that dude they had on their mound was really good. And I think he no-hit Georgia through 6 or 7 innings earlier in the year. So, and he was really good. But we stuck it out. Our pitchers matched it and, set it up to where you got, a big swing in the bottom of the 9th for a walk-off. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, on that note, Coach, there's so much made on broadcast and people like us that, have never been in the arena that you're in, that if there's, a batter coming up, tie game, bottom of the 9th, and the coach is talking his player up. Do you have those conversations like with Russo? Did anybody say anything different to him as he's about to take the at-bat? Or is it just as simple as, hey, do your job, you know what you're supposed to do, and you don't treat that any differently?
Absolutely. I think you just remind them, man, just stay in the moment. It wasn't like we wanted something. I mean, of course you'd love to see somebody hit a solo home run when the game is over, but you're not saying, hey, y'all go try to do this. You just say, be fundamental, just try to put a good swing on it, use the middle of the field. And because that guy was sinking the ball away from him a little bit, and and honestly, Matt he put a beautiful swing on what looked like a pretty good pitch, and and just able to get it out. So that's baseball, man. You can make the right pitch and not get rewarded, make the wrong pitch and get rewarded, just the way it goes. So very, very happy for Matt, though.
Coach, it's pretty simple that if you win every weekend in college baseball, not only are you going to be in the NCAA tournament, you're probably going to be hosting. That's what you've been able to do thus far. Obviously, it turns up a little bit this week with the start of Sun Belt play. Looking ahead to Old Dominion on this weekend. How excited are you for the start of Sun Belt play? And does anything change from preparation standpoint when you get into conference play?
Not really. I mean, it might have a little more factor of what happens on Tuesdays, just a little bit, because you definitely don't want to limp into a conference weekend. You got to be mindful of that. But, no, I mean, you know what? We played 16 games, and I feel like every one we've had to really prepare hard for, earn, whatever. Try to get ready to play a good game, and it's not going to change now that it's the same approach, and but a new season in respect. It's a 30-game conference season, so you try to stack up as many conference wins as you can, and hopefully get rewarded.
Coach, you have a true ace in J.B. Middleton. Did not have his best game on Friday night. What is, from your perspective as a pitching coach, how do you approach? I mean, he's your guy. Everybody knows how great he is. But after a performance like that, do you treat the week after any differently? How do you approach him after not his best outing? How do you handle that?
Well, every kid's different. You got to know how you can get to each one without, making them, clam up on you or whatnot. But I like kind of poking the bear, man. I'm saying, hey, simply did it on Saturday. We got it done on Sunday. Hey, we need you to step up, just kind of have fun. And because he's trying, he looked great, man. He looked great until he made one bad pitch and gave up a home run. And then next guy, 4-pitch walk, then a triple. And then instead of just being a solo home run, it turns into a 3-run inning. And, so you just got to mitigate that and just stay focused no matter what happens, man, next pitch. And JB's going to be fine and is doing fine. And it's part of his growth right now.
You look at your batters right now, top of the lineup there, Jake Cook, Joey Urban, those guys hitting over 300, having great seasons. The rest of the team, nobody else over 300. At this point in the season, how do you feel about your hitters? Do you feel like they're starting to get into that groove going into conference play, or is that something that you've got an eye on? You're like, man, we've got to hit a little bit better.
Well, of course, you always want to hit better, but I feel like our guys are. I like where they're at. I like what they've done. They've been tested. I mean, that's all I can say. They've been very tested. There hadn't been any slop up there, to go up to, hit against. So they're going to have some scars, some bruises and stuff, but I think they'll be better for it. I think that experience against quality pitching day in, day out is going to hopefully help them.
Coach, the other guy over here across from me brought up conference play, and I am curious. You've played a lot of teams from a lot of different places, including, of course, the Sun Belt and the SEC and otherwise. Where do you think your league stacks up nationally from a competition level perspective?
Well, it's hard for me to say, because you don't see them all. Obviously, we see the SEC. We know what the SEC is. I mean, that's obvious. I can't speak on the Big 12 or, Big 10, stuff like that. I know the ACC's got some juggernauts in it. So I don't know, man. I feel like I would be shocked to think this league's not right there in the conversation for that 4 or 5, right now. Maybe in some really, really good years, maybe a little better. I don't know. And but I do believe it's a strong league. I think there's some really good competition in it, and hopefully we'll represent well as a whole in the league.
Coach, we'll finish you up with this one, and it's just the most basic question I can ask you. But coming in now into Sun Belt play, how do you feel about your team overall? Do you feel like this team is where you want to be at this point in the season?
I like where we're at. After this schedule, the 16 games, to be where we are, to be tested in some areas. Sure, we've had some ugly losses, but we've had some really cool wins too, and some good bounce backs. Things like that, some things that you want to see. You're going to have ugly losses. You're going to have ugly wins sometimes, but to see your guys continue to fight, day in, day out, very proud of that. So, yeah, I like where they're at, but we haven't earned anything yet, and we got to get ready for the most important game of the year, which is the next one tomorrow.
Coach, thank you so much, as always, for your time. Congratulations on a good start to the season. But after talking to you a bunch so far this season, we know that means nothing, and you guys are locked in on conference play. But we appreciate you, and we're looking forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.
That's Christian Ostrander, head baseball coach at Southern Miss on the Farm Bureau guest line, coming off of yet another tough series win, because that's what Southern Miss baseball does.
My guess is